Live on air and online, hungry like the wolf, the governor starving for a budget. We'll hear his words in just moments. Texas size sorrow, Dallas in mourning, and we got new eyewitness testimony from that officer ambush. It's Sunday night, you see it, #Weekend27. I'm Dave Marcheski. Let's go.
ABC 27 News at 6 starts now.
President Obama cutting his European trip short to visit Dallas. On Tuesday, he will speak at an interfaith memorial service for the 5 officers that were shot and killed Thursday. Marcy Gonzalez has more on this deadly attack.
He has a gun, run.
An emotional new glimpse into Thursday night's deadly ambush in Dallas from one of the survivors.
Saw another officer get shot right there in front of me again. That was 2.
Shatamia Taylor was at the protest downtown with her sons when she was shot in the leg, saying officers saved their lives.
That officer jumped on top of me and covered me. They had no regard for their own life. They stayed there with us. They surrounded my son and I.
While she's treated in the hospital, at least 3 of the 7 police officers who were injured are now recovering at home. Their colleagues still collecting evidence at the scene as investigators reveal new findings about the lone sniper. The Dallas police chief saying on CNN, though Micah Johnson claimed he wanted to murder white police officers after recent cases of police killing black men, it appears he started planning the attack much earlier.
We believe that the deaths in Minnesota and the deaths in Louisiana just sparked his delusion to fast track his plan.
The chief saying Johnson left behind a rambling journal and where he was killed by police had written the letters R and B in his own blood.
We're trying to figure out through looking at things in his home what those initials mean.
Another funerals for the 5 officers who were killed are planned for this week. President Obama plans to visit Dallas to pay his respects on Tuesday. Marcy Gonzalez, ABC News, Dallas.
Thank you, Marcy. Meanwhile, dozens of people took to the streets last night in Minnesota, protesting the shooting deaths that took place in St. Paul and Baton Rouge, Louisiana. 50 people were arrested between last night and early this morning. Almost the same situation in Louisiana. This time, 125 people arrested after protests erupted. Cities across the nation taking part in protest. Breaking news at the state capitol. Governor Tom Wolf is speaking about the state budget, now 10 days late. Lawmakers are currently in session, but Governor Wolf telling us moments ago that he's going to let this bipartisan law become law. Let's take a listen to the governor's words at this time.
It puts us back on a path to fiscal responsibility and a sustainable future. Now, we must pay for the promises in the general appropriations bill. While there has been progress on a compromised revenue package that will sustain the investments made in this budget, in this bill, the time is now to finish the job. Republican leaders have vowed to send a $1.3 billion revenue bill to my desk that pays for what the budget spends. And I take them at their word that this will happen and that it will happen soon. But we should all be clear about what that means. Paying for what has been appropriated must be done with sustainable, recurring, and sufficient revenues. Taking out loans, moving money from different funds, or using other one-time sources of revenue will not move Pennsylvania forward, nor will it pay for this budget. We cannot and we must not make a lifetime of promises to our children, to our seniors, and to those who are sick, and then turn around and pay for those promises with borrowed money and one-time fixes. Our children and their families must know with certainty that their schools and classrooms will have the resources they need to succeed in the short and in the long term. Those who are suffering from addiction and families who have lost a loved one must know with certainty that critical resources will be available to tackle the heroin crisis once and for all. And our seniors must know with certainty that the programs they rely on will continue to be funded this year and beyond and not be cut in future years because of borrowing or one-time fixes. In the past few months, Harrisburg has proven that we can achieve big things that will have a positive impact on the lives of Pennsylvanians. We've enacted historic liquor reform. We've legalized medical marijuana. We've agreed on a fair funding formula for our schools. This budget is another shining example of the effectiveness of that sort of bipartisan cooperation. But we are not done yet. The General Assembly has a constitutional responsibility to pass a sustainable budget, a sustainable revenue package to pay for what they want to spend. And I believe this can, and I believe it should be done by the end of the day tomorrow. Working together, we
Again,
have
you were
made
just
great
listening to
progress.
Governor Wolf discussing the state budget live at the Capitol. We could be on the verge of him signing next year's budget. Our Samantha Galvez is at the Capitol, and she'll bring us more as this develops. Okay, moving on now to the weather. Yesterday was hot and humid. Today, not so much. But what does this week have in store for us? Dan Tomaso is in the Storm Track Center with more. Hey, Dan.
Hey, Dave. You know, today much better, especially without the humidity. Very low dew points today, which again makes things more comfortable for us. A live view over Hershey. Many people taking to Hershey Park here, maybe just visiting Hershey. A lot to do across the entire central PA region today, and enjoy it because we've had this nice weather thanks to northwest flow, bringing some of that drier air. And the wind today was consistent enough to allow for some drier and cooler air to arrive. So 83 degrees in McAllisterville, 86 in Carlisle, a little bit cooler there in Redline at 78. It's a great evening on tap. Temperatures will fall into the 70s over the next couple of hours. A cool night, temperatures in the lower 60s. That's cool relative to where we were last week. And tomorrow, another day in the middle 80s, but this is a big but. We're looking at a bigger warm-up here moving into the work week ahead. We'll talk about it coming up. Dave, let's send it back to you.
Thank you, Dan. A woman severely burned after gunpowder exploded in her Cambria County garage. Around 5:30 yesterday, fire officials were called to her Richland Township home. The 70-year-old woman suffering second and third degree burns on 50% of her body. She was taken to the burn unit in Pittsburgh. No word on her condition tonight. Investigators say the woman's husband and a resident living outside the other side of the duplex, and they were not hurt. New information on Libre, the sick Boston Terrier found with a severe skin infection and mange on a farm. The Lancaster County SPCA releasing their investigation. In it, Executive Director Susan Martin says no evidence that Libre was abandoned, left for dead, or infested with maggots. Libre was being seen by a licensed vet and was not responding to treatment. They say the kennel was clean and the two other dogs were healthy. Well, this child needs your help this summer. He's looking for a forever home. You're going to meet this week's Val's Kid next. And it was a hot and humid weekend. Dale will be back to let you know how this weekly forecast will be the same. And as we head to the break, do not forget to connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. #Weekend27. Check out Facebook Live. Stay connected. We'll be right back.